Good morning. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorraine. We are having the most stunning week in October. Almost every day has been just glorious. And the leaves have gone from the yellow tones to the red tones. And there's a shrub out there called the burning bush. It's Latin-wise, it's something euonymus. Euonymus alata. Anyways, it's just gorgeous, and it's tucked into all these nooks and crannies. People, I guess, didn't realize how big it could get. It's just, in some backyards, it's just massive. This glorious, just huge pom-pom of red rubies and garnets and everything else. So we're having a very beautiful autumn, and with that in mind, things have turned back to reading, and the heating pads are on. And that means the cat is back on the couch because she has her own dedicated heating pad. I didn't plan it that way. I bought it because it's one of those weighted heating pads, so you could put it on your shoulders, your neck or something. Anyway, she adores it. And so in order to get it, I have to be mean and shove the cat off of it. But it means we're seeing more of the cat. And she's been sitting beside me while I've been reading. And the book that I just finished reading is Jupiter Rising by Gary D. Schmidt. He writes for young adults, but I think his books are, I think that a middle grade reader would also be able to read this. But, why as an adult would you read it? It comes back to over and over again the writing skills of a lot of authors in the middle grade genre, because of their audience, have to write in a certain way to keep their attention. So they're not going to, I just finished picking up Pachinko. It's one of my book club's choices for going into January, I think. It's like massive, and I have read it, so it's a reread for me, and I checked to see whether I liked it or not. I only gave it a 2-star. And that's why I keep coming back to this, is like all those pages gave me only 2 stars. I read these kinds of authors who just know how to be concise and direct, and don't talk down to you and don't re-explain things umpteen times. And I get a 4-star experience out of them. So I'm just, there's one of these days I should make a list of my favorite authors from this genre, because over and over again they just continue to satisfy. So Jupiter is a little girl. She's sort of the focus of the plot, but she actually isn't a character. And she has been orphaned, and we have got Jack, who is an adopted child, and he and his parents have put in the applications to adopt Jupiter. And out of the blue, after months and months and months of going through the process and nobody coming forward for Jupiter, 2 grandparents appear on the scene, and it's more about revenge than anything else, that they want this baby, because Jack and his parents were friends with the father of the baby, and the mother of the baby, I don't know why, isn't in the picture, and they feel that they're entitled to the granddaughter. So, there's the legal point of view, but then there's the sort of family dynamics. Where have these grandparents been while this baby was at her most neediest? And so it's a very interesting dilemma around the adoption of this child. Jupiter herself, as a sort of 3 heading into 4-year-old, is amusing. Jack has got other issues going on, and but they're not like deep and traumatic like some of those YA books. He's trying to make the track team, and there's some people who, he's an 8th grader, and there's some people in the higher up grades who resent having an 8th grader on the team. So, there's some teen drama around that. But solid, good book. Gary D. Schmidt, you cannot go wrong. Now, here's another author that I think is tremendous and is not really, I can see why it's not really being brought forward. What they've tried to do is modernize it, but this is sort of like Quentin Blake illustrations on the cover, And oh yeah, okay, well that's because it was illustrated by Quentin Blake on the cover, but the inside illustrations, the original ones, are black and white pen and ink type illustrations. They're more of the era of the children in the book. Quentin Blake doesn't really have an era, but he certainly has a style, and I've never liked it. I don't know what it is about his characters. I can recognize a Quentin Blake picture instantly, and there's some current illustrators who are sort of in the oeuvre of his style. I don't like them either. I just don't know what it is. Maybe the big long noses. Anyhow, the story itself, magic or not, is about a bunch of kids who have come together in the countryside, and there's a wishing well. And the debate amongst them is the wishing well magic or isn't it? So they keep making wishes, but logic and coincidence and sort of intention, I guess, could that be what's happening, or is it magic? And so we have a story that starts out with the four kids coming together around this argument, and through the summer proceeding and continuing the sort of discussion points. But as evidence builds, we continue right up until the very end to have this debate about, was that really magic, or was that just circumstances, or was there an adult who played a role in this? So it's a fun little discussion that's going on. And this author, I love this author because they quite often come up with some real little sentences. And where was it that this one was? Oh yes, the kids have gone into a house. They have sort of shoved themselves into the house because they've got to explore something. And James and Laura and Kip and Lydia followed the lady and gentleman into the house and through a plant-ridden hall to the living room. Plant-ridden. Like, yeah. I thought that was hilarious. And there is another page where it's part of the discussion about magic, and one of the kids is just absolutely firm. It's magic, but it's not traditional magic. She goes, it's modern magic. It would have to move with the times like anything else, wouldn't it? Anyways, very good. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more in the series. I don't know if you can see past my shoulder. And I wonder if I could even get up the nerve to destroy a book and get the original covers photocopied and taped on top of these. But it's a fun story series, and I don't think it's 100% for adults if you don't like old-fashioned magic stories. But if you've got a kid in your life, this is a great series to give, you know, like Christmas and birthday, and just you've got a little series that you can just keep giving for a couple of years. Okay, I have to backtrack on this book. This book I actually didn't finish and regret purchasing and regret even bringing it to your attention. As the book continued, we've got Derek Gow, who is trying to discuss the bringing beavers back into Britain. And he sort of does, but more often than not, he's just flinging mud at the people who were opponents to it, and anything that got in his way. He's a bit slanderous, he's a bit libelous. I think, what was the editing team thinking when they let some of these comments go past? Like, he's vague enough that he doesn't actually name anybody, but he's insulting enough that if you recognize yourself and have any self-awareness and go, oh, I was the idiot he was talking about, there'd be like a whole trainload of people that he would have suing him. The other part about this is there's almost no science. It's almost all anecdotal. There's almost no studies, or in fact, if they're mentioned so fleetingly that I'm going to say never. He talks about a couple of people who are experts in the field, but doesn't necessarily bring their research to the forefront of this book. And I would like to know that. I would like to know just what was the rationale for bringing beavers back, not just someone had a great idea, let's do it, we could make money on it. You know, it's more about the ecosystems and why this would be a good thing. And I didn't want to know just about everybody who stood in their way. And then when they finally do introduce some beavers, we mostly get a death toll We don't get any kind of description about the landscapes or the ecosystems. I think it completely misses the mark and isn't even amusing. So I wish I had never bought it. Lockwood and Company. This is book 3 by Jonathan Stroud in the series, and the title is The Hollow Boy. And it's a continuation of Lockwood and his 2 colleagues. They're all under the age of 16, and they're ghost hunters. Not Buffy the Vampire type thing, but more ghosts and other entities and poltergeists and that sort of thing. And London is experiencing an outbreak of these kinds of entities and people. They can be quite vicious. The thing, they don't really, they're not sentient, but they're just sort of evil, especially if they've come back as a result of trauma. And the more deep trauma that they experienced in their death, the more likely they are to be an evil entity. So these guys haphazardly and comedically managed to get rid of a couple of real baddies. And it's a little bit like watching a Three Stooges thing. They always, somewhere along the way, they always manage to incur a lot of damage and collateral injuries. And there's some good bickering in here. There's a skull that speaks, but only to one of them. And so she occasionally can be found in conversation with the skull, and nobody knows what's going on. But the skull is really insulting about other people. And so she might be making, no, they are not ugly. And she's talking to this jar. So good 3rd book in the series. And I certainly recommend it. 2 more. I've got the next one on hold from the library, and I'm just going to keep reading until the series is over, I guess, or until I get bored. But I think there are only 6 in total. Anyways, it's a good young adult series that has, this is more on the scary stuff, science fiction. No, maybe science fiction's wrong. Scary stuff, just because of the ghosts and so on. But it's not like horror. There's no horror in there. Sometimes when the tea is the right temperature, it's just so nice. Okay, the last book I'd like to talk to you about is Paperboy by Vincent Vawter, V-A-W-T-E-R. This I didn't realize, because sometimes it takes me a while before I clue in, but I have read before, but I think a long time ago. And I don't know, that's probably like 10 years ago or something. So it was published in 2013. I probably read it close to its publication day. And he has a couple of other books out. Oh no, maybe he doesn't. It's excellent. Again, we've got the situation of a young boy who is struggling, and in this case, he's struggling with a stutter. It's pretty profound. He has found all kinds of ways to get around it, because there are certain sounds that he can use that are, if he starts with that sound, like for instance, H is a good sound, so he will try and find a sentence that has a beginning word with an H, and hopefully some other words along in there. His buddy has gone off to his family's farm for the summer, and he's taken over the paper route. And along the way, there's a couple of households that are prominent in his route. There's a boy who is watching the television really closely and just doesn't respond to any kinds of signs of friendship. And there's a woman close to where he lives who his marriage is falling apart. She's drinking too much, and so it is his first encounter with an adult who is not keeping to the norms. And the best part is he meets an Italian gentleman who is a merchant marine who's traveled the world, has thousands of books, but who seems to understand how to connect with, what was his name? Oh, his name, it starts with an, I think it was Vincent, same as the author. It starts with the same word, or I'm sorry, letter, that he cannot pronounce. And so his first, middle, and last name all start with a V, and he dreads the question, what's your name? So he's quite happy to be known as the Paperboy, because P is one of the sounds that he can get eventually. The Italian gentleman, who's the merchant marine, has a very nice way of approaching Vincent. We don't actually know his name until the last 2 or 3 pages. And they have some really interesting discussions, because somehow the Paperboy can utter questions that the gentleman has got the patience to listen to and answers respectfully. So questions like, will I ever get over this stutter? Am I ever going to be normal? What can I, like, who can I be with this stutter? Am I doomed to like a life of non-communication? So I'm paraphrasing, but they're the kinds of questions that would be framed from a 12-year-old's point of view. And as he's doing the paper route, he is also gaining in confidence and maturity, and he's practicing his words along the way. It's a gentle, lovely, sweet book, and I think it would make a great read aloud, and also a great bedtime book if you're an adult and you want just something really relaxing to be, just before bedtime. The text itself is broken up into, I'm just trying to find a page that shows it well. The text itself is broken up into different sorts of paragraphs, because they quite often are broken up by his trying to say words, and so we see the stuttering on the page. And it's quite intense in the beginning, but as we get further along, this is starting to dissipate. And the paragraphs are starting to get longer, because he's able to sort of articulate his own thoughts better as he's trusting language. So really, 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 really fun book. Well, on the horizon, I finally have picked up my next to last Helen Humphrey book. So that's hopefully in the next week or 2. And I've got a couple more at the library I'm going to go pick up today. There's 2 book club books that are coming forward. All My Rage by Saba Tahir. Oops, there we go. And that Pachinko one. Oh, and you know what else? Gosh, I don't even want to think about it. I really don't like Barbara Kingsolver. Everybody loves her. I don't. Unsheltered is coming my way. Blech. I know sometimes we have meetings where nobody's read the book, but I have a feeling Barbara Kingsolver everybody's going to read. Pachinko they might not, because once they see how big it is, they might all just go, what were we thinking? And so, yeah, for the Pachinko book, I'm going to just go to Goodreads and read a synopsis and just go, oh yeah. And then maybe I'll read a book review or something, because I don't remember why I hated it, but maybe it'll come to me. So I think that's it for me. I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye for now.